Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And welcome to the infinite way where spirituality meets humanity. And it brings me great pleasure to introduce our guest today. Our guest is Athena Melchizedek. Now, Athena is a pioneer for unity consciousness on the planet. She specializes in group mentoring and group energy management for heart-centered visionary leaders, empowering them to step into their own sovereignty and freedom. She holds degrees in advanced psychoenergetics, energy healing science, and remote energy transmission from BBSH, plus a master's of science in psychosocial and integrative health science. She published The Quantum Keys, Unlock Your Energetic Intelligence in 2017. The book describes a pathway to self-realization and the synergy of modern science and ancient wisdom that characterizes all her work. She has also studied with the great yogi Sadhguru at the Isha Foundation in Coimbatore, India, and her activities as mentor and transformation guide are enhanced by her devotion to yogic science and mysticism. I welcome Athena Melchizedek.
Thank you so much, Enolia. Thank you for this beautiful invitation to a lovely podcast. What a fabulous name, The Infinite Way. And this is the journey we're all on, you know?
Yes. You know, it's funny because the name of this came from the keys of Enoch.
Oh, yes.
It had to have a meaning behind it. It couldn't just be a name. You know, words are so important. So, unity consciousness and the fact that you work with groups, leaders, and visionaries. Share with us a little bit about your work and your works with leadership.
Okay, so first of all, just let's see where we're heading with unity consciousness, what this means. And this means the knowing, but more than the knowing, the embodiment of the knowing that we are all part of one being, which is what you can call God or source mind or quantum potential field. There are so many different descriptions for the awareness that unity consciousness is, because this is what it is, the awareness that underpins all manifested life. And the realization and embodiment of this is different to awakening. I think this is an important piece to just understand, because the term awakening is so prevalent in everybody's conversations at this period on the planet. And that's rightly so, because there is a massive awakening occurring collectively. And awakening means we're becoming aware of new things and looking at the old and realizing that there is a progression from that when we speak of awakening, because we can think one thing yesterday and a new thing today as we receive more information and as we expand our awareness. And so the full journey is the realization. This is where we're heading. We're heading into unity consciousness and the knowing, and more, as I said, the embodiment of the knowing. That everything in the physical dimension is actually a projection of our own consciousness, both individually, as an individual, obviously, and as a collective. We are creating all of it. And so my work, first of all, I had to do my own work before I started to help others along their own path. You know, I had a long, and those, what you described and how you introduced me with all the qualifications and all the rest of it. And by the way, it's Sadhguru, not Sadhguru, Sadhguru, and he's very famous. But but all of that really has no, you know, that's just a list of credentials. What is hidden behind that is really a deep, deep, deep inner journey that this being undertook. And indeed, I am still in physical form, and I am still on my own journey, or that journey, because as your beautiful podcast says, it is the infinite way. And we realize the more we know and realize and embody, the more there is even more, because it is infinite. It is infinite and eternal and continues, whether we're in physical form or not. Consciousness continues. And it is this consciousness, this awareness. Consciousness means being aware of. And when there is unity consciousness that has been fully experienced and fully realized, one is aware that the objective and subjective world does not really exist. It's not really the truth of anything. These are the creations that come from unity consciousness, as we are the creations that come from unity consciousness. For this is consciousness wishing to experience itself, or God wanting to experience itself, or source, or whatever is your favorite word for the most supreme creator of all life, because each one of us is an aspect of that. So this is my understanding. This has been my learning through experience. My learning through long periods of being in the darkness, quite honestly. It is not been all about love, light, and unicorns, quite honestly. It's kind of been a deep dive into the unknown, and a lot of darkness, a lot of what we would consider darkness. But of course, it's all part and parcel of the game. Yes. And I don't say that lightly, because there will be many times in my own life when I haven't. What I'm speaking now is not where I started. Of course, I began. When I'm speaking now, of course, it is where I started, because we don't have the knowing or the understanding when we come into incarnation of what we've really undertaken, because we go into the forgetting, and we have to go into forgetting. Yes, we have to go into that place of unforgetting.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Sure.
Because what you opened up with was so rich. and so deep and so beautiful. And I think it's really important to emphasize some things. One of the things that you said is that, okay, here's what I arrived with, and here's the list that you read. But it's really and truly the experience that has brought you on the path. And I want to emphasize this, and I want to talk about this a little bit because, you know, in our experience of the here and now, that human side of us loves to ramble off the rhetoric of credentials.
Oh,
And
yeah, big one.
I
Big.
think that. Go ahead. It's okay.
Let's speak about that. And I would love to speak about that because I noticed
Yeah.
you asked me for them. Or no, actually, you didn't specifically ask me. You asked me to just give you a précis of my, of my bio.
Yes, I actually asked
Yeah.
you a bio for how you want to be introduced.
Yes, that's right. And all of those credentials, the first part of the credentials, which was the energy healing and the remote transmissions and the psychoenergetic training. This was my lived journey, absolutely my lived journey. I trained after my life had collapsed, had gone into collapse, all of it, my entire life had gone. My work as a business in the business world had gone. My partnership, intimate partnership, had dissolved. I lost my house, all within the 3 months of realizing that there was something radically wrong with my life setup. And that took, from that point, everything just started to I just manifested the perfect teacher and the perfect program from a book that my sister had bought me some years earlier called Hands of Light. And when I read this book, I knew that I was going to work with this teacher one day. I just knew that I would work with this teacher one day. I didn't know when, I didn't know how, because I certainly at that point wasn't in the frame to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But she came to be in London to do a workshop, a 3-day workshop, and I took up the cause, and I really was drawn to do it. And after that, the whole of life crumbled, and I went to join her in the US and her faculty to do this healing work on myself, because my whole life had collapsed. The moment that I said I would do it, so this was like one of the pivotal moments. There've been many pivotal moments, but that was one. So those credentials were kind of listed just probably so we could talk about this.
Yes.
Because it was a deep dive, and she was a spiritual teacher, a spiritual mentor, but she was also an astrophysicist for NASA before that. So she was already bringing together the science and the spirituality. And this was the key to, this is how I'm coded, and this is why it interested me. Because I had wanted to know why my life was in such a shambles. And the shambles had actually started way back in my younger days. It wasn't, this was the crescendo piece that brought me into the school, So that is very well worth mentioning. I thought I was going to learn how to be a healer. I did. Oh, so here was ego, massive ego, the massive ego that comes in, that does it when you're in the unknowing. Oh yeah, this is the right thing for me. I'm going to learn how to be this. What I didn't realize was it was really truly all about my own healing. And it truly was indeed. And so it was really the preliminary only the preliminary, the 6 years training with the school. But it was and that training brought me into different awarenesses of the different levels of my own being, and from the darkest to the lightest at that stage. So it's worth mentioning. But then I went on I went on to do a master's degree, and in the same subject, because I thought, people will be impressed with this. This is still the ego, even after all the years of working with the internal work, with the shadow and all of it. There was still sort of that ego there that says, you aren't good enough. Basically, it is, you aren't good enough.
Yeah.
You, the being, are not just as you are, without all of these big credentials, are not good enough just as you are. And this was a massive piece. And the thing is, Zenolia, and even now I am still doing work around these issues. However, this is because when we've done our own work, I mean, forget about the work I do with other people, but I'm just speaking my own personal inner work now. When we do our own work, the more that we kind of go into these dark places, these dark thoughts that we have about ourselves, which are all based on our conditioning, how we're conditioning, how we're conditioned.
Yeah.
But they're also based on what is programmed into our whole energetic structure at birth. We come in with some of this programming already. This is the karmic piece, what people call karma. But this karma is merely action. Means the word karma means action. And the karma that I brought in was huge. And it was a choice. Now I have expanded my awareness even further and further and further. I selected to bring these certain pieces in so that I could work with them in this lifetime. Because when we do this for ourselves, we actually do it for the whole.
Yes.
Because we are all one. Now, I did not have this knowing at the beginning of the journey, and the ego was playing its part right the way through all of it, because you're chipping away constantly at the egoic self or the lower self. But oh my goodness, it's been such an incredible ride. And I just wanted to just explain that, because even now, with all the realizations and all the embodiments, we still exist in the physical dimension with all its pulls. The energy can still pull us. And so to keep our frequency high and in that state of unity, it's a moment to moment. In my experience, anyway, I'm speaking. I don't want to preach. I always just speak from my own experience, and if it helps people, it helps people. I don't want to preach to anybody what they must do or should do, but I can tell you, it is a moment for me personally. It is a moment to moment awareness of how I'm being, how I'm receiving, how I'm listening, how I'm seeing, how all of this physical senses that I use, at the physical level, have expanded out into the energy body, which also has its own listening and hearing and all of the extended senses. So it's been an amazing journey to to have those awarenesses, and realize that you are aware and can be aware of it all, and yet it's all just a mirror that is reflecting yourself back to yourself, because there is only one of us.
Yes, yes. You know, it's so interesting because I believe that each of us has a precipice and a moment in time when we take that, I like to call it that leap of orbit, or we go to the next octave. And as we do that, I remember my own journey and that lowest point where it felt like, it didn't feel like, everything fell apart.
Mm-hmm.
Everything fell apart. And I was either going to go through this kicking and screaming, or I was going to come back to myself, really reflect inward, and then journey through this with the grace that I could muster, and then try to glean the lessons. Because when I didn't glean the lessons, when I didn't get it during that dark moment, it would repeat itself. It would come back. It would do it again and again until I got it.
That's right.
And so it is so important to do our work. There's so many of us, we want to help the world, but it starts within. And I didn't say start with us. It starts within.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. That's why I'm here to support you and me and everyone in this, knowing that with all that's going on in the world currently, we're in quite a tumultuous period of our history. Yeah. It's incredible. It's exciting, but it's also probably for many who don't know what's happening, it's probably very scary. And this whole piece of going in, it sounds so trite sometimes to say it, and everybody's saying it, but not everybody is doing it, because people get so wrapped up in the physical, what is going on in the physical dimension. And what is going on in the physical dimension is merely the outplaying of our individual consciousness and our collective consciousness, as I said at the beginning. So in order to change that picture on the screen, it literally is a picture on the screen of our awareness, of our consciousness. It literally, we only take the information in through our physical senses into our brain, that then projects this out, and it looks real and it feels real. But this body, this physical that feels solid, this is only energy that is vibrating at a low frequency. So it feels, to our senses, we look at it, it feels solid, it looks solid, it tastes solid, if you but it's actually only the information that's coming in through the senses that gives us those sensations. And this is the incredibleness of the beings that we are. We are able to, this is how we create reality. And it is a picture show. It is a picture show.
Yes.
So the thing is, how about it, once we get that, and once we understand that, and that's so difficult for many to understand, many will listen to me speak this and think she's off her rocker. She doesn't know what she's saying. Well, believe me, I'm not. I know, I do experience this. I experience the knowing and the embodiment of what I'm speaking. So thank you, Enolia.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, because when we are going within, from my experience, okay, what I learned traversing within is that I am the universe. That internal look in, that reflection in, that meditation, that dwelling within, what happens is when we meditate, we traverse the physicalness of the container that holds us.
Exactly.
And then we expand. And as we expand, we are boundless. There are no boundaries. So how do you express to one the expansion of energetic self further and further beyond the boundaries of the physical container that holds us, such that you are one with everything?
That's good.
And I'm trying to express this in words. For an understanding of the depth of what we traverse when we truly understand the energetic beings that we are. And that there is no boundary.
That's correct.
And even more so, re-emphasizing what you stated, which is that as we come back to this container, and what I like to say is put on the hats of all of the roles that we play to operate in this thing that is really a matrix. It's really the projected piece of, okay, this is what my day is going to look like. These are the beings that I'm going to interact within. This is the capacity that I'm going to interact within about. But that if you are really truly able to understand and grasp that, then you realize that when you are traversing this physical dimension, the rule is really there are no rules. There are ways of being, ways of approaching, ways of navigating, but there really are no rules.
Indeed. Indeed, because like I said at the beginning, we are the all of it. We are the universe. And what we bring into the physical dimension is our own unique aspect of the creation. And this is the purpose of our being. People are always asking, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? You know, the purpose is to know the self as the all of it, and then bring that knowing and expansive limitlessness into a created reality that we choose. And you know, we can choose the depths of hell if that's what we want to experience,
right?
Which some of us have done at various times in our life.
Yes. Absolutely.
But also we can create paradise on earth if we so wish to. And this is where why I think it's so important at this juncture, where we've got this mass awakening going on, where people are really questioning, you know, the truth of what they thought was real, and all the many truths we see daily coming shattering around, you know, around us, which is quite, I can smile at some of it, even though it's tragic in some instances, but in my heart, I am so happy that this is all falling to pieces, because it's showing us where we don't have to judge ourselves around just getting smarter, do we? This is another huge piece I think is really important just for this time, Enolia, and this judgment, and I can tell you, I was one of the greatest judges of the self. You know, this goes back to the ego, and why we need all the list of credentials and all the, you know, nobody needs a credential to express the fullness of their being, because
Right.
we already are this already. We just go through motions to wake ourselves up and to learn more about how to navigate these different dimensions, which is what you spoke of, the navigation of these different dimensions. That this is a playground, it's a hologram, it's made of energy. We can create anything we want. We can create war, disaster, destruction, blow it all to smithereens if that's what we want. But this is not really useful for the expansion of our own limitlessness, is it really? So, you know, but we have these choices. We're in a free will universe, and we cannot blow the universe to pieces, because it is within our own being. And you know, the linear mind has struggled. I used to struggle to understand. Well, I used to sit and think, well, she's taught. I listened to other teachers speaking this, and I used to think, well, how on earth? It doesn't make sense. How, you know, we're thinking in this dimension of you know, height and width and breadth, and the linear mind just cannot get that it's all within. But of course, once we start leaving the linear mind to its devices, which are basically just to keep us safe and not do certain things that are going to damage us, like put our hand in a pot of boiling water, or jump off a, you know, walk off a cliff. This, yeah, we need the positive ego to be able to help us manage the physical dimension. But after that, we just need to put this aside and tap into our higher mind, which is basically through the heart, and then into the higher dimension of the higher mind, the source mind. And when we've got fully connected to that, then we can start rocking and rolling and creating, yeah. You know, creating from the great will to good and the great expansion of love that is there. And we can, you know, I think with the quickening that is happening now, and the increase in frequencies that is happening now, we can do it like that. It doesn't.
I believe we can. I believe we can. And I want to go there with you, Athena, because, you know, people go unity consciousness and they think, okay, all of us are physically together and we're going, you know, all going to think on the physical boundaries of what you're representing, because I see it beyond the physical boundaries of what you're representing. With each one of us, as I described, being this universe. And then when we are in a state of mind of projection of that love in the dimensions, and then we come together at this level of being together, I want you to share with the audience that understanding and that representation of when you speak about unity consciousness. Would you share with us?
So you mean when we could, the power of perhaps coming back to what you're talking to about the group work that I do? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, we are energy beings from the physical to the extended energy body. But there are different dimensions that we exist in, or simultaneously. When we are realizing ourselves as full unity consciousness. And when we can hold that together, we just radiate. We come into a state where we don't have to do anything. It's this concept of being rather than doing. Doesn't mean we don't ever do anything again, but when we come together in a group and we can just be unity consciousness, it just radiates out into the everywhere we place our attention. We don't even need to direct it. It just radiates out the love that we are, the will to good that we are, the divine intelligence that runs the show. All of it just will radiate out from one of us doing this as we stand individually. When we come together, it is exponential in its ability to create change. We don't have to think about how to change this and how to change that and how to, the old linear mind way.
Right.
It will happen most automatically when we come together in oneness, because the source itself runs the show. And of course, this is going to be a show of the highest frequency available on this, in this, in this matrix, in this hologram that we're in, or that we've created or co-created with source. Yeah, so it's exponential, that energy that we can bring to the whole. And so the people who are struggling with understanding some of the things that perhaps we're even speaking about now here on this podcast,
right,
will be most automatically affected by the fact that certain groups of us can hold, and certain individuals can hold these higher aspects, because through entrainment they will automatically be raised up into the higher frequency. So all the work and all the years and all the I'm 72, I came in 1951 when there wasn't, I don't think TV was even.
You're right. You're right.
And in those days, it took time. We were still in quite low frequencies. But now this world has the opportunity, and individuals have an opportunity to do this so quickly. What took me, someone like me at my age, many years to navigate, now, because more and more people have navigated this. And I will say, I know that I did come into this incarnation in a higher frequency than most at that time.
Right.
One of those that said, yeah, I'll take this on. Crazy. But and now I know why I did. Now I'm living in the period when we're going to see this great crescendo, or we have the possibility to see this great crescendo of joyful creation, of instant transformation. And this is what I find when I'm working with groups. When we come together and do this work as a group, it's fast. It happens fast.
Right.
you know, and actually this was my train. This was, you know, I went into that specific, I was guided into that specific training so that I could see this. And I didn't always see it when I was at school. You know, some of it I did kicking and screaming, I can assure you. But now, you know, we call it the school of life, and it certainly was. And I did a lot of kicking and screaming, and I had a big ego. And when I passed from having just the normal, you know, human ego, then I went into the spiritual ego, which was even, you know, even more tricky to navigate.
Yeah. Yes.
But thank God I have had such wonderful, wonderful guidance, wonderful mentors, wonderful teachers on and off planet. I can on every dimension
In
to
every dimension.
help
Absolutely.
me
Absolutely.
through, And I say, and that's another thing I would love to just share with your viewers, for anybody who's in the doldrums, or you know, worried and concerned about what's going on. You just cannot imagine how much you are being supported in on your journey. It's incredible. You know, I wish we had hours to talk about this, Enolia, but I know we only have a short time. But you know, there are so many wonderful tales I have and could share about the support from the higher realms, which of course are all showing you another part of yourself. And the
Yeah.
teachers and the mentors you have are all showing you another reflection of who you are. And even like
Yes.
on this podcast, you know, whoever watches this, we are reflections of you. And you know, when I feel that, my heart explodes into just the knowingness of how that, you know, when people can experience that love that comes through, and it's amazing. It can come through a Zoom call, it can come through a podcast, it can come
Yes.
through the radio, it can come through the TV, it can come through just walking into the supermarket. You know, there is so much for us to experience. And I'm jumping up and down in my
I
chair.
know, I know, because I feel the excitement. I'm actually getting chills. So this is how I feel about this, because we're coming up on an hour. However, I would love to extend to you to return and share the stories. I think what we're talking about is so important to our viewers, because people don't understand how to interact with their guides, how the fact that they have guides around them. I remember the first time that I met someone who was able to channel for me, and the first thing she said to me was, "You have an entourage around you. You have no idea how supported you are." And they're saying, open your heart more, be more open. They're trying to communicate with you, but you're so closed off that they can't get to you. And that that statement right there changed the course of my life, because my mother had just passed. I wanted so desperately to connect with my ancestors and to hear my mother's voice again. And I was being told that I was too closed. Okay, that I can resolve. Let me figure out how to be more open. And so it began.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah.
And you know, it if I may just
Yes,
reflect
yes, absolutely.
on what you said, because I just felt into that place. And I also have been there with you know, when we lose someone we love, it feels like it's
Mm,
the end of our world. uh, um, and we can spiral down. And if we don't have these tools to help us navigate and realize that that being that was our mother or our father or our sister or our brother, nothing dies. They don't die. Maybe the physical disappears. But remember what we said at the beginning. This isn't about the physical. The physical is the very last piece of it. Those beings are still, their essence is part of you already. It's within you. Your mother is within you. She's in your DNA. And you know, this is such another piece that people struggle with. So I think there's so much we could talk about, we could share, that would be very useful. I would be very delighted to talk for hours. You probably need to gag me.
Thank you. And I think, yes, we need to have these conversations. This is what helps people understand and relate, and then also sometimes take that first leap of faith.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then what you bring to the table is so important, so important. So yes, it's absolutely imperative that we continue the conversation. And if people wanted to reach out to you, if someone wanted to get to know your work a little bit more, how do they reach?
Yeah, they can jump on. I've got a website which is at the moment I'm question marking how that's going to go forward, in what state, but it's currently I'm at amelchizedek.love. Very easy. You can just plug in a Melchizedek. I know the last name is a bit of a difficult spelling, so maybe Enolia, maybe you could just put that up on the podcast for them if they wanted to get in touch with me.
Absolutely.
But
yes.
yeah, where else? I'm on Facebook under Athena Melchizedek Sananda. That's another one. That's another story about the names and the relativity of
Yes,
all.
because I do recognize Melchizedek being a very ancient name, and I wanted to go there, but we didn't have time.
Oh,
so
I know.
I'm going to save that one.
I know, it's another whole story. I mean, there's so much to, you know, this journey's been kind of long and very relevant for what's happening now as we move out of all of these hierarchical structures and into this what I call synarchy. So that's another topic that I'd love to talk about and share with you.
Yeah.
Because I feel you and I
Yeah.
are very, you know, I feel we have a beautiful connection.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And any last words of wisdom that you would like to share with our listeners? I leave that to you.
Oh, yes. I think if there was one takeaway, come out of judgment of yourself. This has been one of my greatest lessons. This is actually what we started off talking about the judgment of the self. And
Yes.
what we tend to do is we project it out, we judge, we look out into the world, and we get triggered by people and we go into judgment about an other. But actually, it's only ourselves that we're ever judging. And it's to do with the fear and the unknowing and the lack of connection to our guidance, our higher self, that allows us to know that we are all that is, and that everything is perfect as it is. There is no need for judgment of anything. Each soul is on their own path and will make their own choices because it's a free will universe. But for your beautiful listeners who are struggling with this, come back in to your heart and realize you are enough just as you are. You are already enough. You are already perfect. It's only this that gives you an incorrect projection.
Beautiful wisdom. Thank you, Athena, Melchizedek, for being a part of the infinite way where spirituality meets humanity. This has been another episode. We look forward to having you back. And I just want to say goodbye to everyone. And if you'd like to say goodbye,
indeed. Thank you so much.
Feel free.
Thank you so much, you beautiful soul. I honor you. Truly honor you.
Thank you.
So may you be blessed on the infinite way. Love and blessings.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful, blessed day. This has been another episode of The Infinite Way. Please share, please subscribe, and I hope that this has filled your soul. Take care.